The drama surrounding Gervonta Davis and Isaac Cruz has never truly gone away, even years after their first collision, because a scorecard can end a fight but it cannot always end a rivalry. Boxing has a strange way of keeping certain names tethered together long after the final bell, and few pairings in the sport right now feel as unfinished as this one. Davis, the undefeated knockout artist who has turned the lightweight and super lightweight divisions into his personal hunting ground, has faced plenty of dangerous men across his career, but only one of them ever managed to strip away his aura of invincibility without actually beating him. That man was Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and the story of how he did it, and everything that has happened since, is why the idea of a rematch refuses to fade from the conversation. To understand why this matchup still matters, you have to go back to a night when nobody expected Cruz to even be in the ring at all. Davis was riding one of the most terrifying streaks in the sport, a run of 16 consecutive knockouts stretching back years, a resume that included brutal, emphatic stoppages of proven Mexican warriors like Leo Santa Cruz and Mario Barrios. He was not just a champion at that point, he was a phenomenon, a pay-per-view draw who fans tuned in to watch specifically because they expected violence and finality. Then Rolando Romero pulled out of a scheduled title defense, and on short notice, a 22-year-old with a wild, unrelenting style stepped into the vacancy. Nobody outside of hardcore boxing circles knew much about Isaac Cruz heading into that December night, but by the time the final bell rang, everyone did. Cruz did not fight like a man who respected Davis's reputation. From the opening bell he pressed forward, throwing his signature left hook, refusing to be intimidated by a man who had ended 16 straight careers inside the distance. Davis, for his part, tried to do what he always did, sit back, read the pressure, and look to counter with those blistering uppercuts that had put so many opponents on the canvas before. But Cruz kept absorbing them. He walked through counters that had finished other men, showing a chin that seemed carved from granite, and he kept marching forward round after round, targeting the body, then switching upstairs, never giving Davis a single moment of comfort. The two men traded increasingly heated exchanges as the rounds wore on, jawing at each other between shots, the tension in the arena thick enough to cut with a blade. By the midpoint of the fight, Davis finally found another gear, stepping on the gas and applying sustained pressure for the first time all night, but Cruz refused to be pushed backward. He kept coming, kept working the body, kept forcing Davis to answer him in every single exchange. When the scorecards were finally read, the decision went to Davis, and rightfully so, as he had simply landed the cleaner, more effective punches over 12 rounds of an incredibly competitive fight. But something else happened that night that mattered just as much as the result. Isaac Cruz walked out of that ring having taken Gervonta Davis the full distance, something almost nobody else had managed to do, and he did it while trading with one of the most feared punches in the world. Commentators at ringside called him a warrior on the spot, and even in defeat, it was clear a star had been born. Cruz had shown the boxing world that Davis could be pressured, that he could be made uncomfortable, that his aura of untouchable finality had a crack in it. The loss did nothing to slow him down. If anything, it launched him into a new phase of his career, one built on proving that the scorecards from that night did not tell the whole story. In the years that followed, Cruz continued building his case as one of the most dangerous operators in the sport, remaining undefeated and racking up performances that only reinforced the idea that his style made him uniquely suited to test anyone Davis could be paired with. Then came a fight that would once again put his resilience on full display, a clash with Lamont Roach Jr. for an interim title at 140 pounds. Roach arrived with real momentum of his own, a fighter who believed he had already proven he belonged among the elite, and the styles made for an absorbing chess match rather than a simple slugfest. Cruz came out aggressive as always, using his jab to set up his signature right hand, while Roach relied on movement and sharp countering to avoid the fight Cruz wanted to create. The rounds ebbed and flowed with a tension that kept the crowd locked in, Cruz pressing and Roach circling, each man landing just enough to keep the outcome unclear. What made this fight especially dramatic was the physical toll it took on both men. Cruz, who had never tasted the canvas in his career, found himself dropped for the first time, a knockdown that sent shockwaves through the arena and briefly threatened to derail everything he had built. Yet in true Pitbull fashion, he pulled himself back up and continued firing, refusing to let one moment define the entire fight. As the rounds progressed, Cruz was also docked a point for excessive holding during clinches, a recurring habit that had cost him before in his career, and it added another layer of complication to an already difficult contest to score. Roach, meanwhile, was finding success on the counter, quieting Cruz's pressure and taking control of long stretches in the middle rounds, showing off timing and precision that frustrated the aggressor in front of him. But Cruz's resilience proved to be the deciding factor late in the fight. He managed to floor Roach for the first time in the American's career, evening out the physical damage on the night in dramatic fashion. When the final bell rang and the scorecards were tallied, the fight was declared a draw, with Cruz retaining his interim title through the deadlock. It was a fitting result for a fight defined by shifting momentum, proving once again that whatever flaws exist in Cruz's technical game, his sheer will and durability make him nearly impossible to put away. That same durability is exactly what makes the conversation around a Davis rematch so compelling, especially once you factor in what happened when Davis faced Lamont Roach himself. After a quiet stretch away from the ring, Davis returned with a chip on his shoulder, defending his crown against a fighter many had written off before the opening bell. What followed was arguably the most competitive test of Davis's career to that point. Roach fought like a man possessed, standing in the pocket, trading in the center of the ring, and refusing to be intimidated by Davis's reputation the way so many opponents before him had been. The fight played out as a tactical battle in the early rounds, both men feeling each other out, before Davis gradually began opening up with his trademark left hand, backing Roach up and setting traps the way he had against so many opponents in the past. But Roach kept answering back, landing counters that visibly rocked Davis at times, moments that had rarely been seen against a fighter of his caliber. By the midpoint of the contest, both men were exchanging heated words between shots, the intensity boiling over as neither wanted to concede any ground. Davis exploded in stretches, unleashing combinations that seemed destined to close the show, yet Roach continually absorbed the punishment and fired back, refusing to fold under the kind of pressure that had finished so many other men. In one of the more startling moments of the fight, Davis took what appeared to be a knee without it being ruled a knockdown, a controversial sequence that only added to the chaos of an already unpredictable night. Roach kept pressing his case deep into the championship rounds, becoming the first fighter in years to outland Davis through 10 complete rounds, a statistic that spoke volumes about how competitive this fight truly was. When it was over, the judges could not separate the two men, and the bout was ruled a majority draw. Unlike Cruz, Roach was never dropped and never appeared to be in serious danger throughout the fight, an achievement that immediately raised questions about how he might have fared against other elite operators in the division, including Cruz himself. Taken together, these two results tell a fascinating story about where Davis and Cruz stand heading into any potential second meeting. Cruz has already proven he can survive 12 rounds with Davis and make him work for every second of it. He has already shown he can absorb adversity, including his first career knockdown, and still find a way to leave a fight with his undefeated record intact. Roach has shown that Davis's aura is not what it once was either, that his power alone is no longer enough to guarantee an early night against elite-level competition. When you place all three results side by side, the picture becomes clear. Whatever separates Davis from Cruz and from Roach is razor-thin, decided by fine margins rather than clear dominance, and that is exactly the kind of picture that makes a rematch feel almost inevitable. The bigger question now is whether Isaac Cruz, given a full training camp and the benefit of experience gained since that first encounter, could finally turn a competitive loss into a signature victory. He was thrown into that first fight on short notice, without the preparation time most world